What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out Vivek Ramaswamy to young Black and Hispanic voters. Let's get to it.
Have sort of modeled yourself as Trump 2.0. Can you specifically say how you are different than him?
2.0.
Look, I am running to revive our national identity. I have lived the full arc of the American dream. My parents came to this country with no money. I've gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies and did that while marrying my wife and raising our two sons. And I think the fact that I have lived the American dream in such a personal way, that is what gives me the passion to actually revive that for the next generation. I didn't grow up in government. In fact, I haven't worked in government. I think that's actually going to be a competitive advantage in bringing a true outsider's perspective. I think that's the choice we face in this election. Do you want somebody who grew up within the system who's going to deliver incremental reform? Or do you want somebody coming in from the outside delivering a revolution? I stand on the side of revolution. I believe our base does too. And that is what I'm going to lead in a way that no establishment politician can. That's my true view.
What do you want in the debate next for you? One, just general comments on Trump's fourth indictment. Secondly, what do you make of his comments leading towards not debating the floor on Wednesday?
So I think that these indictments are a disaster for the country. I think
You see, he's picking up a lot of things from Trump. I don't mind that people call him Trump 2.0. Look at the hands. Let's take it again so you see the hands. Tell me who does the hand thing.
So I think that these indictments are
See?
a disaster for the country. I think they set a dangerous precedent for the ruling party to use police force in the middle of an election against political opponents. That's not justice. That is the politicization of justice. And I say this as somebody who just look at the polls that have come out in the last 24 hours. I'm polling second in many of these national polls. It would be easier for me if Trump were eliminated from competition. I think that's what many Republicans, many in the Republican donor establishment are quietly rooting for as they prop up the other super PAC puppets. That is not how I want to win. I want to win this election by convincing the people of this country that my vision is going to be the best for leading our nation forward. That's how we do things in the United States of America. And I think that's why it's so important that people in my position, that's why I've been doing it, are vocal about opposing these indictments. It's also why I've been very clear that I will pardon Trump on day one, January 20th, 2025, at least of the offenses that I'm able as the US president to deliver a pardon for. And I think that that's going to be important for healing this country and moving forward. As to the debate, I have no problem with him skipping the first couple of debates. He's been on the debate stage plenty of times. He's been in the White House for 4 years. This is my chance to introduce myself to the country, and so I have no issue with whatever decision he wants to make. If he's on there, great. If not, I'm fine with that as well. I would have handled many decisions from the White House and otherwise differently than Donald Trump did. But I think it is very important that we not conflate a bad decision with a crime. And the true question is, how do we move our country forward? I believe that Donald Trump, it's my belief, I know many of you may disagree with me, looking at, critical questions here. I believe Donald Trump was an excellent president. I judge a presidency by the policy results that he delivered. No wars, a growing economy, and so on. So I'm not going to sit here and bash him. But I do believe...
Somebody might say Vivek is acting as an alternative in case Donald Trump goes to jail, then he steps up. People would see more of an image of Donald Trump on him and they would vote for him. Would that be a real argument to make? Yeah, and also he could be the vice president for real. A lot of you have been saying that already, but he might just end up being the vice president.
That we need to take our America First agenda to the next level. And I think it will take an outsider from a different generation with an actual positive vision. That's what I'm bringing to the table. That's why I'm in this race.
What are you most looking forward to debating and why?
To tell you the truth, I think that the fact that the first debate stage, they made the criteria so low and so permissive, I think is a good thing, because I think it'll actually get a chance of multiple diverse views to be heard on that stage. Personally, I think the 40,000 donor threshold was too low, actually. And in some ways, though, I understand for the first debate, I think that was okay, because it allows for multiple voices to be heard. So it's part of the fact that there's not one person I look forward to squaring off with. So I think this is actually a good moment for our party, for the Republican Party, for our movement, for the country, to air our disagreements. And What I do want to say is I hope it would be a pretty boring and pathetic use of 2 hours if we just had a virtue signaling contest on the topics where everybody already agrees, versus having the courage to actually talk about the topics where we disagree. I think it would be a much more productive use of 2 hours to talk about areas where we know candidates have real disagreements with one another. And I hope that both the people putting on the debate, as well as, more importantly, the people participating in the debate, actually have the courage to cover that ground rather than having a pissing contest about who's more anti-woke, which is really just a form of virtue signaling. And I say this as a guy who wrote the book on wokeness in America before many Republicans had heard what that word was. But I think it would be a shame if we just spent 2 hours with prepared canned one-liners on things that everybody vehemently agrees on. That would be a waste of time.
We're going into the debate next week. Are you planned for it to be, or do you think it's going to be a civil debate, or are you ready to make attacks when it comes to?
Look, if you can't handle the heat, you stay out of the kitchen. I'm running to be the commander-in-chief. And if I can't face off with NBC News, who certain candidates say they won't talk to, or if I can't face off against a college kid asking a question on a college campus without having it pre-screened, which is what many Republican candidates require in order to go to a college campus. Same thing goes for the debate stage. If you can't face off against your competitors with hard questions, you're not ready to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. I believe I am. That's why I'm running for president. Right. So we've been doing this entire campaign. My policy has been talk to everybody. It's the talk to everybody policy. And that's working for us. Left, far right, agree, disagree, young, old, it doesn't matter. And so I think that's going to be probably the best form of debate prep is 6 months of actually talking to everybody in this country, especially those who criticize me. And so I think that those who have taken arrows at me so far in this campaign from Don Lemon on downward haven't fared too well at it. And so
Oof, Don Lemon, did you guys see the interview? He's on the channel if you haven't seen it. That was something. How do you think Vivek did in the debates? I haven't seen the full just yet. I only saw the argument he had with Chris Christie over Donald Trump. But I'd like to watch the debates, and I'll bring some updates on all the clips so you guys can see as well. But let me know what you think. How did he do in the debate?
be forewarned if you're going to try that same tactic on me on the debate stage.
Why aren't you meeting with the over here position on aid to Israel, military aid? Can you just explain it, Kyle?
Yes, I think there's been a lot of confusion on many of my positions created by manufactured opposition, super funded opposition research, and my job is to be clear about it. So the top of my Middle East policy, and it's the top of my Israel policy, is to lead us to Abraham Accords 2.0. I believe I can deliver that in my first year in office. I think it was a signature achievement of the Trump administration to lead through diplomacy as I will in the Middle East. What will I do? I will deliver an agreement that brings Saudi Arabia and Oman and Qatar and Indonesia into that pact. Why is that important? That integrates Israel into the economic and security infrastructure of the rest of the Middle East in a way that hasn't happened because Israel has been wrongfully held hostage over a complex historical Palestine question from being able to integrate itself. That is wrong. We're going to talk about the anti-Semitism in our foreign policy. That's what it is, holding Israel hostage over that question. And because Israel was isolated, that required years of the U.S. having to stand for our democratic ally, including in the form of military aid to Israel, which advanced U.S. interests and still does. The current commitment goes through 2028. I stand firmly by that commitment. But if we're successful, the true mark of success for the U.S. and for Israel will be to get to a 2028 where Israel is so strongly standing on its own 2 feet, integrated into the economic and security infrastructure of the rest of the Middle East, that it will not require and be dependent on that same level of historical aid or commitment from the U.S. If we're still that dependent on that level of success, that would be a mark of failure in delivering the true promise of what I expect to deliver through Abraham Accords 2.0, which is better for Israel and better for the United States than the status quo of the last 12 years.
What do you have to say to the younger generation that you're speaking to in the African American, Hispanic community?
You've been duped, is my message. You have a party that professes to stand for your interests by telling you to go to Ben & Jerry's and order a cup of ice cream with some social justice and maybe even anti-Semitic sprinkles on the side. That's not how you satisfy a moral hunger. You don't do it with fast food. You do it with the real thing. Our vision of what it means to be an American, that's what unites us. Our diversity is not our strength. That is a myth. Our strength is what unites us across our diversity.
Our diversity is not our strength. Yeah, that's what they're trying to promote more now. Yeah, diverse pilots, diverse doctors, diverse people to land on the moon. Everything is diversity. It's like diversity is priority and then qualification is next, you know. It's like you go to the hospital and like, I'm dying. Oh, well, the doctor is white. Oh, I don't want him because he's white. Yeah, because like we want diversity, right? It's crazy. I don't know why anybody would put diversity over qualification. This diversity talk is itching my brain. I don't know what people are talking about.
Have the courage to rediscovering those shared ideals. That's what unites us. That's what we're running to. And so the next time somebody tells you math is racist, tell them they're blowing woke smoke to deflect accountability for the failures of a public education system that is defrauding black families across this country by holding them hostage to the zip code that their kids are born into. Amen. That's the civil rights issue of our time. That's the Emancipation Proclamation of our time. Amen. And I will emancipate everyday Americans, regardless of their skin color, from a managerial class that's crushing them and then uses woke virtue signaling to cover it up. We're done with the cover up. We're unleashing the real thing. And you mark my words, I think we're going to bring young people, minority voters at a scale never before seen in modern history to not just the Republican Party, that's boring, to this pro-American movement that delivers a landslide election wider than what Ronald Reagan delivered in 1980 by bringing young people with us. That is my responsibility. And you mark my words, that is exactly what we're going to do in the debate stage. Next Wednesday is just one small step to get there. Thank you all. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
None of your rivals are meeting with him.
Oh, I don't chase people down for closed door meetings, but if he's here, I'd love to say hello. Tell him I said what's up. Thank you. We'll see you guys.
Oh, yeah, Vivek is actually sound, verbally sound, knows how to answer questions. Knows when to use the script and knows when to go off the script, because that's what politicians don't know how to do. They always sound so political that they almost sound like robots and AI speaking. Yeah, but I didn't get that from Vivek. He sounds genuine. I don't know how he's going to do as a president, but from what I've been seeing and his agenda and his plans, seems he's capable, you know. The perception would be that he's capable of being president. But let me know what you think about that. If he can indeed bring the young people along, that would be a very, very good thing. Yeah, if he's appealing. I saw he was rapping to an Eminem song in his campaign. Well, if that is going to make the young people come along, because young people are so not interested in politics these days, like they just don't care. They said, I think, what was the poll? That young people would choose TikTok over voting, something like that. 71% of young people would choose TikTok over voting. I think that was the poll at one point. If he's able to carry young people along, he's definitely going to go a long way. Well, smash the like button, subscribe, share your thoughts on that one, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
I made this bet on my own,